so happy to be here. What a nice turnout.
Yeah.
All right. There was a polar bear named Gus who lived at the Central Park Zoo who had been diagnosed with depression and anxiety and put on psych meds, just like me. Now, Gus was swimming obsessively back and forth in his small, poorly man-made habitat. The zoo hired an animal behavioral therapist to see what was wrong with Gus, and the therapist concluded that Gus was just mildly crazy, like most New Yorkers. Just a typical neurotic New Yorker like me. I was in the tail end of my 20s, and I had been supporting myself in New York through college at NYU, and since working as a waitress and a bartender and a hotel concierge while pursuing a writing and an acting and a singing career. And let me tell you, I loved New York City. It was the only city. And not just because it's the only place to ever eat a bagel. And the energy, and from day one at my orientation at NYU when they told us, be an exclamation point, don't be a question mark, I was ready. But almost like a decade after being there, the city had begun to take its toll. It was a combination of things. It was like New York used to have seasons, and then it just became winter or summer. Waiting for the G train to get to the city from Greenpoint was like waiting for Godot. The train never came. I was in a relationship with a man who was everything I'd ever hoped for, and I was in love with him and his family, the family that I had always longed for, and that was falling apart. But I had gotten a job where I was led to believe that I was going to work for this Upper East Side, very fancy lady and help her write a salacious tell-all book about her cheating, dirty, scoundrel ex-husband. And I was very excited about this. But as it turns out, she just had me act as her therapist and her housekeeper. Now, every day after work, I began this ritual where I would try and shake off the day and walk the 10 or so blocks to the Central Park Zoo, where I would go visit Gus. And I'd arrive at the park and I'd immediately rush over to where Gus was located, and I'd see him, sure enough, swimming by and by, back and forth. I get it, Gus. I get it. And I would telepathically communicate with Gus, and I would tell him how I couldn't get out of bed barely, and I wasn't bathing, and I wasn't eating, and I had gone to see a therapist, and he spent the whole time cracking sunflower seeds between his teeth. And I told Gus, you know what, Gus? I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna break us out of here, Gus. We're gonna ride the rails. I'm gonna return you to your natural habitat, and we're gonna write a book together and be in Oprah's book club. But I wasn't convinced. And I tell Gus my secret, the secret that I hadn't told any of my friends who I had completely isolated myself from because I was tired of answering questions why I didn't want to go out anymore. And the secret that I was hiding from my boyfriend who was in the midst of leaving me, and everyone, that I was making exit plans. I was tired of New York City. I was tired of hearing from agents and managers, you're too fat, you're too thin, you're not fat enough, you're not thin enough. I was tired of losing the relationship with the man I had always dreamt of having and the family. And then something started to happen when I was there with my visits with Gus. It was as though he started to recognize me. And I would lock my eyes on his. And in those moments, while Gus looked at me and I looked at Gus, just the two of us, everything stopped. The crazy city, the bombardment of the senses, my sadness, and it was just me and Gus, two typical neurotic New Yorkers, together, comforting one another in an unlikely and unexpected friendship. Thank you.